Welcome back to the Path to Better A1C podcast. And this podcast is for you, busy professional, busy entrepreneur who wants to lower their A1C, wants to balance their blood sugar, conquer cravings, and feel good again without extreme dieting or burnout. And I am your host, Jenny Pena, National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach, Diabetes Prevention Program Lifestyle Coach, founder and CEO of Tempe Coaching, and creator of my signature program, 12-week program, the A1C Reset Protocol. And today we are talking about something that can be kind of sneaky, that has been probably hijacking your energy and your focus. And it's not just the food on your plate, it is also on your glasses and cups. Now, let's talk a little bit about this, because I do have to admit, when we're talking about blood sugar and losing weight and all of that, everybody talks about food. We talk a lot about food. I talk a lot about food on my sessions. But typically, we don't talk much about drinks, right? And they're often that forgotten culprit. So whether your favorite iced coffee, the healthy green juice, or a post-lunch pick-me-up, drinks can be a hidden source of sugar crashes. And that will mess up with your mood, it will mess up with your focus, your energy, and your productivity. So today, I want to walk you through a simple blueprint that I typically walk through with my clients, and I like to call it food, focus, and flow. And with a twist, right? The triple F's. And we are going to look at both what to eat and what to drink. So we're going to look at those both elements and how these two things can impact your ability to stay sharp throughout the day. Because a lot of people think about blood sugar and how you want to prevent diabetes, but most people, when they're having issues with focus, productivity, energy, cravings, they really don't even associate it with blood sugar. They think that they're just tired. And I know that in the previous episode, I talked a little bit about physical fatigue and mental fatigue and the differences, right? And how blood sugar has an impact on that. So that's why I wanted to speak to you about this today. Now, let's start with the basics, right? Like, why energy crashes happen. Because the blood sugars, not everybody has a measuring device. Not everybody has a continuous glucose monitoring. However, almost all of us have experienced a 3 p.m. slump, that crash, that sort of feeling sleepy, siesta time right after a large meal. We can all kind of relate to that. So let's talk a little bit about that. You know how I love to talk about the science and then strategies and all of that. So let's talk a little bit about what is it happening. Your brain runs on glucose. That's why when people talk to me about keto diets and all these things and very extreme diets, I will let you coach yourself, right? I'm there for your guidance and support. However, if you were to ask me what to do, I would say that balance, practicing balance is better. Okay? So your brain runs on glucose, but it needs a steady, slow releasing fuel to work well. Right? Similar to your blood sugars, you do need glucose for all of your cells in your body. But what you need to pay attention is to the spikes. So when we spike blood sugar a little too high, especially with quick sugars or caffeine heavy drinks on an empty stomach, we set ourselves up for that dreaded crash. And here is the twist that most people miss. Those hidden sugars in those drinks that you're going for, they actually hit faster and harder. Why? Because they don't require digestions like a whole food, right? Like, it's not the same. eating an orange than drinking orange juice. Your body does not, it could be exactly the same thing. You can come and squeeze that orange and put it in a glass and drink it. It's not the same as eating that same orange, just like a fruit. So that kombucha, that innocent looking latte, it could be silently sabotaging that 2 p.m. clarity that you're missing. And that is something that a lot of my clients tend to not realize. Now, what is this framework that I talked about? And I'm going to call it the 111 rule. And I teach my clients to reclaim their focus, and I'm going to add a little twist to it. So the 111 rule is, at least make sure that you have that one perfect balanced meal a day. No, I'm not saying that you should do intermittent fasting. Please do not mistake me for this. But what I'm saying is, if you want a place to start and to see changes quickly, take that one meal and make it up, do a do-over, and make sure that it includes the key elements. So whether it's breakfast, if you're skipping breakfast, I will typically tell you to incorporate that. And if lunch seems to be something that you skip, I will say incorporate that. But make sure that it includes protein, fiber, and fat. And that's going to keep your blood sugar stable. Now, what are some examples of this? If you are drinking a shake, make sure it has that protein powder, right? That is the protein. Make sure you add some nut butter. Could be peanut butter, could be almond butter, could be even MCT oil. But that good fat. And add chia seeds, flax seeds, or hemp seeds for fiber. So you see how it's very different from having a fruit smoothie than having a balanced protein drink. Very different. And even with your protein powders, I would say read your labels and make sure it doesn't have a bunch of other stuff, including added sugar, because a lot of them do. Another option, if you're having your eggs, have some vegetables and have some avocado. The eggs have the protein, the vegetables have the fiber, the avocado has the fat. So you see how you're making up your meals and making sure it has these 3 elements. Now, let's say that you are having lunch. Chicken salad. A lot of people don't realize that they can add beans to their salad. I had a client that actually did chickpeas in the air fryer, and that was adding a lot of crunch to her salad, and adding lots of different greens, and you can switch them up. I always say to put some sort of carb in the salad so that you feel better in terms of energy. And my tip for drinks, pair your meal with water, with sparkling water, or with sugar-free electrolytes. Try to avoid those sweet teas and the fruit juice, and make sure that what you're drinking is plenty of water. It's going to help you with blood sugar regulation. It's going to tame those cravings, because a lot of times when you have cravings, you think you are hungry, and in fact, you're actually thirsty. So these things will absolutely help you, and you are going to feel the difference. I'm telling you, in about 2 days, you are going to notice the difference in energy. Now, the other rule, this is the first rule of the 3. The second rule is having a movement break. This is something that a lot of people resist. Everybody says they don't have time. I have back-to-back meetings. It's hot outside, or it's raining, or I don't have a walking pad. Like every single thing to say nope, nope, nope. But after eating, when you move your body, even if it is just marching in place or pacing when you're in a call, it could be just as simple as that. It helps shuttle glucose out of your bloodstream and into your cells. It prevents that post-meal fog. That's why I always say if you can squeeze 10 minutes after your lunch and take a little walk, if you can include a dance party with your kids after dinner for 5-10 minutes and just be silly, do that. It will help you with your insulin resistance. It will help you with blood sugar regulation. You are not going to get that foggy feeling after your meal. And in terms of drinks, if you sip on something during this time, what about black coffee if tolerated? If you really need that coffee, black coffee before 2 o'clock, it should be okay. Now, I will say monitor how you're feeling in terms of sleep. Because even if you get to sleep, sometimes the coffee will intervene with the circadian rhythms. And you may think you are sleeping enough amount of hours, and in fact, it's not a good amount of hours, and it's not a good quality of hours, I should say. So monitor that. But also choose herbal teas. I love ginger. On occasion, I will get some green tea that has a lot of antioxidants. And I love infusing my water. It makes it feel festive. I can switch based on the fruits or herbs that are in season, and it adds a little something, something, right? Um, and please try to avoid something that is sweetened so that it's going to spike you, because you may be eating so well. And that was something that I saw in a few of my clients. They were having amazing choices when it comes to their plate, but they were still attached to some of these drinks. And that was really the culprit. Now, the last of the three is taking one breathing break. Yep, this is, everybody talks about food, everybody talks about exercise, but not many people talk about the impact of stress when it comes to blood sugar, focus, managing all these things, and managing your energy. So take a pause. I had a client that was, there is no way I can take 2 minutes from me. And I actually said, well, I can tell you one thing. You can go to the bathroom, even if you don't need to go to the bathroom. Nobody's going to dare to go look for you there. So finding that pocket of time, and it doesn't have to be something fancy. You don't have to do a very methodic meditation. It could just be, for the next minute, I am going to focus on my breathing. I'm going to listen to the air coming in and out. I'm going to recognize how my body feels as I'm breathing. That, it's like giving the brain a massage. See how you feel when you get a foot massage after a long day? Taking time to not focus on all the things that you need to do, but taking time just to focus on the breathing and letting all these things go is like giving your brain a massage. And now, it's going to help you do that and reset your nervous system. And it comes to drinking. I know a lot of people want to get a glass of wine. A lot of people want to get a cocktail. Try tea. Try lemon water. Sometimes when you're stressed, again, even the movement can help. But try to get that mental break. I had a client that ended up putting very strict boundaries because all his meetings were always overlapping. So he started blocking and making meetings no longer than 45 minutes and blocking those 15 minutes to prep, to wrap up, and to take those 2 minutes just to breathe. And I can say that my client feels that has more energy, more production, and feels very focused since he started doing that. So I hope that you get some things out of here and maybe start with one thing. I always say don't feel overwhelmed and trying to incorporate everything. Pick one thing. Now, if there's one thing that I wanted to share is that drinks are not neutral. Drinks are not neutral. So remember that I just had a workshop. It's called Sip Smarter. And we did talk about that. We did talk about how most people don't realize that their daily drink of choices are actually behind their crashes and the cravings and the moodiness and the irritability. And from that sweetened cold brew to like that afternoon protein shake that has a bunch of sugar added to it and it's not balanced, it adds up. And if you're focusing on everything else and you're ignoring the drinks, that can surely sabotage. And that's exactly what I was able to unpack during that workshop. So if anybody is interested in seeing the replay, send me a message. I'm going to put the information below. Send me a message and I will make sure that you get the link. Now, in this session, just to summarize, we walk through which drinks may spike your blood sugar the most and which wouldn't, right? Things that you need to pick. Alcohol and mixers, how like they impact cravings and energy. That was something that I actually covered on the workshop. And we talked about how to order the coffee and the brunch without sabotaging your day. And a few swaps. And I was able to mention a few of them, but we went in detail during that workshop. So again, if you want the replay, let me know. I will put the link in the show notes. And now that we're about to conclude, let me remind you that the summer book club, it's pretty much around halfway there. And the whole conversation is about hidden sugar. And if that gets you curious, you can still join. I am not setting any meetings. I'm only having a wrap-up meeting mid-August via Zoom. I decided to do it like that on purpose. I didn't want to really create something that people felt like they needed to follow a specific schedule, even though I do provide a schedule. I do provide prompts every Friday morning and sometimes a task or an exercise or a fun thing to explore. And I wanted to make it very simple because summer is simple, right? So we're reading The Year of No Sugar. And here is the best part. You can join again anytime. It's asynchronous. You will get the Friday prompts to help you guide, and you can read the book at your own pace. And I believe that even if you don't read the entire book, just a few chapters, you will still have a benefit. There is so many nuggets and lots of things that will help us be aware of where sugar is hiding and the impact that it has in our lives. So if you ever wondered how sugar shows up in sneaky ways, this book club is for you. And I will put the link in the show notes. Now to wrap up, crashes aren't just about food, they're also about drinks. Hidden sugar in beverages can be the one biggest energy thief and sabotager in your day. And this 1-1-1 rule will help you stabilize blood sugar with one balanced meal, one movement break, and one breathing pause. If you start doing that, or you're working your way up to doing those 3 every single day, you are going to see a change in your energy. And by switching and being mindful, not just of your food, but also of the drinks, that is going to help you tremendously. So if you want to explore more, again, join the book club. And thank you so much for tuning in to the Path to Better A1C. If you're ready to break the cycle of fatigue, sugar, cravings, frustrations, check out all the links in the show notes. And there are also some ways to work with me, join my programs, and grab a free guide if you need to. So there are many resources that I have available for you. Have an amazing rest of your week. Bye.